Assalamualaikum my dear students, welcome to studyhigh.pk and subscribe, keep in contact for more videos and update. Today we are going to start our first lecture on human anatomy, lower limb, clinical of hip bone, in which we will discuss the different types of clinical related diseases related to hip bone or importance of hip bone in diagnosis and treatment of different type of diseases. So let's start our discussion on clinical of hip bone. Our first clinical number one is bone marrow biopsy, in which we will discuss the role of hip bone in bone marrow biopsy, why we perform bone marrow biopsy. First of all, you must know the structure of your hip bone. This is our hip bone, the most irregular bone of the body, consisting of different parts: iliac crest, acetabulum, obturator foramen, anterior superior iliac spine, ischium tuberosity. Here is the ischium tuberosity. This area is known as ischium. Here is pubis. Here is posterior superior iliac spine and posterior inferior iliac spine, greater sciatic notch, etc. These are the different types of hip bone. Now we are going to discuss why we need to perform bone marrow biopsy and how hip bone is helpful in performing bone marrow biopsy. First of all, what is the function of bone marrow in our body? You know, I just going to revise this. Our bones, especially large bones of the body, consist of bone marrow. Here is bone marrow that is present in the bones of our body. What is the function of this bone marrow? This bone marrow is involved in forming the different type of body cells like RBCs, likewise WBCs, platelets that are present in human heart, that are present in our blood circulatory system. RBCs, WBCs, platelets are all derived from this bone marrow. So if a patient is suffering from a disease in which there are an increased number of RBCs or decreased number of RBCs, likewise if the blood of a patient has an increased number of WBCs or decreased number of WBCs, the first thing that came into a doctor's mind is that there may be a defect in bone marrow. As a result, our blood cells are not producing at the normal rate, or the RBCs or WBCs or the blood cells produced by this bone marrow are defective or abnormal in shape. As a result, these blood cells could not perform their functions efficiently. So, the first thing, if a person is suffering from anemia, leukemia, cancer, different type of diseases, is you must know whether bone marrow is working properly or not. So for this, you need to extract this bone marrow from the body and examine it outside the body. So from which bone? If someone asks you, you are going to become a doctor, from which bone you can extract the bone marrow for diagnosis of anemia, leukemia, etc. So the most commonest site for obtaining the bone marrow is your pelvic bone or hip bone. So what is the process by which you can extract the bone marrow from the hip bone? First, you have to apply the different type of antiseptics on the skin. Then you need to enter or incorporate a needle into the iliac crest of the hip bone, a syringe, and through this way you can extract the bone marrow from the hip bone. So for performing bone marrow biopsy, Hip bone is helpful in extracting the bone marrow from the body. In diagnosis, whether a patient is suffering from anemia, leukemia, which disease, or whether bone marrow is working properly or not. So this is the role of your hip bone. First, clinical related terminology that you must know about your pelvic bone, hip bone. Now we are going to discuss the second clinical related to hip bone is Weaver's bottom. So first of all, you must know the different parts of hip bone. This is ischium. It also consists of ischial tuberosity. This ischial tuberosity is covered by a bursa. As different types of bursa present in different parts of the body in the joints and adventitious bursa, synovial bursa. So what is the function of bursa? If a bursa is present between two bones, its function is to reduce the friction between them. Likewise, if bursa is present between the muscle and ligaments, the function of the bursa is to reduce, or the function of the bursa is to provide reduction between the two bones, between the two ligaments, between the two joints. So a bursa is present on the ischial tuberosity, and what is the function of this bursa is to reduce friction between the ischium and the gluteus maximus muscle, as this ischium is covered by a muscle known as gluteus maximus, the largest muscle, hip muscle, buttock muscle. So it's the function of this bursa is to reduce the friction between the gluteus maximus and the ischium. What happens in Weaver's bottom? There is an inflammation of this bursa that is present between gluteus maximus or involved in reducing friction between the ischial tuberosity and between the gluteus maximus muscles. So in what type of patients this happen? If those patients who are workers and continue to sit for a large time on the hard surfaces like chair, like those who are guards of different type of schools, so for continuous sitting for a long period of time, or those who involve in cycling, long range cycling, and continue to move their gluteus maximus and sit on their seat of the bicycle, these patients also suffer from this disease known as Weaver's bottom, in which there is an inflammation of bursa that is present between ischial tuberosity and gluteus maximus muscles. So, what is the Weaver's bottom? It is an inflammation of ischial tuberosity bursa. It also has some other names. It is also called ischial bursitis. So this is also a second name of Weaver's bottom. If someone asks you in your viva questions in your medical colleges, so what is Weaver's bottom? Then you can say that it is also called ischial bursitis. It occurs in those patients who sit on their own hard surfaces for a longer time, or those who involve in cycling races of long range cycling, or suffer or can be suffer from Weaver's bottom. And why this occurred? Because of inflammation of the bursa that covers the ischial tuberosity, or that is present between the gluteus maximus and ischial tuberosity. And due to the inflammation of this bursa, there is ischial tuberosity or Weaver's bottom, pain in this region, in the upper or lower buttocks, etc. So this is our second clinical related to hip bone that you must know, that can came or can be asked in your professional exams of MBBS, etc. Now the next clinical that we are going to discuss is hip fractures or avulsion fractures of the hip. First of all, the most common fractures occur in hip joint. What is hip joint? The joint that is formed between the femur head and acetabulum of the hip bone. So just assume this is your femur, this is the head of your femur bone, the largest bone of the body that articulates with acetabulum of hip bone and involve in formation of hip joint. So the most common site of fracture is the neck of this femur bone because it is the narrowest and weakest part of the hip joint or femur. This is greater trochanter, lesser trochanter, intertrochanteric area that we will discuss in our next discussion of fractures of the femur bone. Now we are going to discuss the different type of fractures that are related to hip bone. The fractures related to hip bone also called avulsion fractures of hip bone. So to understand the different type of fractures, first of all you must know the different type of terminologies related to ossification of the bones. So just assume this is a femur bone, any long bone. The rounded upper part of this bone is called epiphysis. So this upper part is called epiphysis. This is the part at the neck of epiphysis. The long shaft of this bone is called diaphysis. This is called diaphysis. This is again epiphysis. The region between the epiphysis and diaphysis is called metaphysis. It contains the epiphyseal plate or also called growth plate that involve in large growth of the children, especially between the age of 10 to 17 years. So the region between the diaphysis and the epiphysis is called metaphysis. This is epiphyseal plate that disappears in adults but present in children's between the age of 10 to 17 years and below 10 years. So just remember what is epiphysis. The rounded form or part of the bone involved in joint formation is called epiphysis and the shaft is called diaphysis, and between the epiphysis and diaphysis there is metaphysis that contain the epiphyseal plate that involve in increasing growth of the children's. So there the second concept that you must know is that ossification of the bones that involve in converting the cartilage into the mature bone. So there are two type of centers: primary ossification centers that originate in long bones in the center in the diaphysis. The primary ossification centers in large bones start appearing in the center of the diaphysis, whereas in some irregular bones they start appearing in the body of the bones, whereas the secondary ossification centers are those that appears after the appearance of primary center. So ossification of bones occurs in children's. So the things or the terminologies that you must know or that are needed to inform or for delivering of this lecture or the concept is first epiphysis, metaphysis, diaphysis, primary ossification center, secondary ossification center. There are some bones that does not involve in joint formation, that are supporting bones like some tubercles or prostheses that extend from the side of the bones. These are called anaphysis or tubercles like ischial tuberosity, as I have discussed you. Different type of tubercles are present in condyles of the femur, likewise in tibia. This is your tibia of lower leg. It contains a bone tibial tuberosity. So different type of processes that not involve in joint formation or extra processes are called tuberosity, anaphysis, etc. So these are the terminologies that you must know. So now we are going to discuss the avulsion fractures of hip bone. First of all, this is head of femur that articulates with acetabulum of hip bone and involve in joint formation. Second, there are different type of ligaments that involve in supporting this joint. Like this is the pubis, A large a ligament also originates from this pubis, or a ligament is present between the femur and pubis. This ligament is called pubofemoral ligament. Likewise, like pubofemoral ligament, there is an other ligament that is present between the ischium and the femoral. This is called ischiofemoral ligament. So these are the ligaments that are present or that are involved in supporting this hip joint. Likewise, there are other types of ligament like transverse ligament, bursa are also present between these greater trochanter or different parts of the hip bone and femur bone. Now I am going to inform you what are the avulsion fractures of hip bone. Avulsion fractures means a bone connected with a ligament or muscles. So when it is broken down into two pieces, the broken down of the different type of bones is called avulsion fractures of hip bone. And these fractures are most common in those bones in which secondary ossification centers are missing, or ossification process is not occurred accurately because of some defects. So the bones in which secondary ossification centers are missing, and those bones are the projection tubercles, are called apophyses. So because of why these avulsion fractures or breakdown of a bone part into two part occurs when a person start running, try to get a sudden acceleration, there is a sudden contraction of these ligaments like ischiofemoral ligament, pubofemoral ligament. So sudden contraction of different type of muscles that connect the different bones or ligaments, tendons. So the sudden contraction results in breakdown of these tubercles or the bones into two parts, and they move in two directions like seen in different type of clinical diseases in which this ischial tuberosity has been broken down into two parts, one move in this direction and other remain with hip bone. So these are called avulsion fractures of hip bone. In sometimes, due to fracture of hip bone, we need to replace the hip bone with an other bone. So you must also know that hip bone can be replaced. Second thing, evolutionary fracture of hip bone also occurs in anterior superior iliac spine that is connected with sartorius, posterior superior iliac spine or posterior inferior iliac spine, especially ischium, pubis. So different type of avulsion fractures are possible in the hip bone. So in hip fractures, our clinical, first I inform you the ossification centers. Primary ossification centers in long bones appear in the diaphysis. What is diaphysis? The shaft forming region of long bones. Epiphysis, the rounded part of the bone involved in joint formation like the condyles of the femur, the rounded part of some bones. What is metaphysis? The part of the bone that contains epiphyseal plate that involve in growth, increase in growth in children's or those which contain epiphyseal plate. So this part that contains epiphyseal plate is called metaphysis. And I inform you how different type of fractures possible in the hip bone, like what is avulsion fracture, in which a bone is broken down into two pieces and torn away. Avulsed mean torn away, moved away. And what is the cause of this avulsion fractures? Because when someone try to hit someone suddenly, or sudden when someone try to get sudden acceleration or deceleration, etc. Especially those in athletes who are involved in different type of activities of basketball, football, social, etc. Now we are going to discuss the clinical number 4 of this topic, hip bone, cosa vera and cosa bulga. What is the difference between these two terminologies, and how these helpful in diagnosis of different type of diseases or different type of terminologies? related to patients. This is a structure of femur. Femur consists of a femur head, neck, greater trochanter, lesser trochanter. The angle between these axes of the femur head and neck and between the shaft of this is approximately 120 to 135 in normal patients. The angle between the axis of the head and neck of the femur and the shaft of the femur is 120 to 135 in normal patient. But in some conditions, if during development the ossification of this head and neck of the femur does not occur accurately, this angle that is between the 120 to 135 degree in normal patients. It also differ in older patient, in youngs, in adults, in children, etc. So the angle between the femur head and neck and the shaft differs according to the age. If a person is suffering from osteoporosis, as occurs in different type of females, or rickets in children, it also affects in increase or decrease in this angle. So first of all, the normal angle between the neck and head and the shaft is 120 to 135 degree. Second, the different type of diseases or age can increase or decrease this angle. If this angle is decreased to below 110, then we call it the patient is suffering from cosa vera. If this is less than 110 or between or below 110. But if this angle is increased above 135, then we can say that patient is suffering from cosa vulgar. So these are the two terminologies that are related to the femur head and femur shaft that also help you in recognizing the different type of diseases. Like in patient suffering from cosa vera, the angle between the femur head and the shaft is lower. As a result, the length of the lower limb is lower and height of the patient will be decreased. Whereas in case of cosa vulgar or vulgus, there is a large angle between the femur and the hip and the acetabulum that involve in forming hip joint. As a result, height of the patient will be increased more. Likewise, the patient suffering from cosa vera having decreased angle of inclination between the femur head and neck and its shaft, it will result in shortening of the lower limb and second the different type of movements. Like if this is the patient, may not be patient, it is suffering from the cosa vera, then it will feel difficulty in abduction. Abduction means moving of this leg outside the plane. So there are different type of movements that will be inhibited or restricted because of these diseases. Like this person suffering from cosa vera could not perform abduction process like normal patients because it has shortened limb, and furthermore the joint between the hip and the femur head, the angle is reduced and there is shortening of the lower limb. So these are two terminologies you must know: cosa vera, in which the angle of inclination between the femur head and neck and the shaft is decreased, and vulga, in which it increased. Now we are going to discuss our clinical number 4, dislocated epiphysis of femoral head. First I inform you what is epiphysis. This is a picture that I try to draw of femoral head. This is the femoral head that involve in formation of joint with the acetabulum of hip bone. So this is called epiphysis of our femoral bone. Likewise, epiphysis will also be present on its distal end, like two condyles. These are also epiphysis. Like epiphysis also present in other bones, humerus of our arm or tibia, etc. This is epiphysis. In children or in adolescents of 10 to 17 years, this region just below the epiphysis. As I have informed you a little before in this lecture, there is a metaphysis that contains the epiphyseal plate that involve in growth of the children's that contain epiphyseal plate. So this epiphyseal plate or the region that contains the epiphyseal plate is called metaphysis, and the shaft is called diaphysis. So in what is the dislocated epiphysis of femoral head? I am going to inform you what is the cause of dislocation of this epiphysis. This is epiphysis. In some conditions, a patient is suffering from dislocated epiphysis. This epiphysis has been moved over this metaphyseal plate. And in what type of patient it happens? It happens in those children who are in growing phase, who still contain epiphyseal or who are under ossification process, whose bones are not fully matured. What happens because of some type of diseases or because of trauma or injury? The epiphyseal plate has been weakened. This epiphyseal plate has been weakened or because of injury it may be broken. So what will happen? The head of this femur will be dislocated. It will move in downward direction or maybe upward, but in most cases the head of the femur is moved to the downward direction. As a result, what will happen? There will be a causa vera. Why? When it is dislocated downward direction and the weight of the body is also pushing downward. This is the weight of the person, and here hip joint is found between the femur and the hip acetabulum of the hip bone. When this head is dislocated in downward direction, the angle between this neck and the shaft will be reduced. When the angle is reduced, there will be shortening of the limb or one limb or second limb. Also shortening of the limb means that patient is suffering from causa vera, as I have explained you in previous clinical. Causa vera, in which the angle between the femoral head and neck and the shaft, inclination between them is less than 110. So why dislocation of epiphyseus? What is epiphyseus? The rounded part of the femur that involved in joint formation. And why it dislocated in patient? Because of weakened epiphyseal plates. And in what type of patient it is common? Those who contain epiphyseal plate and whose ossification is still under process. If the femur head or epiphysis of the femur dislocated, it will result in causa vera. An angle of inclination between the neck and the shaft of the femur will be reduced, and the side or the though if left side or right side of the femur is affected, that limb will have shortened length as compared to other side. So, my dear students, this is our today's lecture, in which first of all we have discussed bone marrow biopsy and how hip bone is involved or helpful in diagnosis of leukemia anemia. Then we have also discussed the weaver's bottom or ischial bursitis. Then clinical number 3 we have also discussed causa vera and causa vulgar, and avulsion fracture of hip bone, different type of fractures that are possible. And we have also discussed the dislocated epiphysis of femur head and how ossification occurs, what are the primary ossification centers, and causa vera and vulgar, a different type of diseases related to hip bone we have discussed in this lecture. In our next lecture, we will discuss the femoral fractures and their diagnosis, treatment, etc. Hope you best of luck. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you, Allah Hafiz.